I'm Shannon Thresher, and this is 30 Second Tactics. Today we're going to talk about off-duty officers working security details, and the pluses and minuses, the good and bad of that. So the first thing we need to clarify is there's basically two different ways to do that. There's what we think of as an off-duty detail, where a police officer may get assigned a detail through his department, or the company that's employing you goes through the department, or otherwise it's very official, it's very approved. You're probably in your department uniform, maybe even in your department vehicle, and it's an extra detail, but you are basically 100% or 99.9% the police while you're there. And then the other version would be when you're just working a second job, and this job happens to be as a security officer. Not a lot different if you're working a second job at McDonald's, where you're not going to have your police uniform, your police car, your support of your police department, all that kind of stuff. So whichever one of those we're talking about, let's focus on the pluses and the minuses. Kind of start with the cons. The biggest problem with those kind of details, and we'll focus on both sides, but the biggest one, first of all, it's got to be department approved. If you're out doing a side job, again, like I said, whether it's McDonald's or, working the projects or something in between, it's got to be department approved. You do not want that to come bite you in the backside. The other problem you're going to have is it's an extra detail. It's a second job, which means you've already worked 40 hours plus this week. So you're going to be a little sleep deprived. You're going to be a little tired. The last thing you're going to want to do on this detail is, an above average job, and go catch some bad guys, make some arrests, get some extra court going on. So you want to consider that kind of stuff. You may not be the best man for the job. The other problem is if you're working, like I said, as a security officer versus, an off-duty detail as a police officer, then as a regular security officer, you might have some Fourth Amendment issues. Depending on your jurisdiction, how your DA looks at it and stuff, you may either have a lot less power when you're working as a security officer, or you might have a lot more responsibility, legal responsibility, constitutional responsibility than the security guard that's standing next to you that's not a full-time police officer somewhere else. Now, of course, the pros to that, like I said earlier, if you're working the off-duty type details, you're going to have a patrol vehicle maybe. You're going to be in your uniform. You're going to get the, the authority and the respect that comes with that if you have that in your neighborhoods. You're going to have backup. You're going to have, the radio, the equipment, everything that you would have if you were working regular patrol. So I guess the question is it a good idea to work security when you're a police officer? Well, or the other question is it a good idea for security companies to hire off-duty police officers? Well, there's so many variables to that I don't want to just say yes or no. Generally, for the reasons I mentioned on the con side, I generally don't think police officers make good security officers. Now, again, that's straight up security officer, not, an off-duty detail or a traffic detail or, something like that. But for those reasons I mentioned, the sleep deprivation, the conflict of interest with two different jobs, the issues with Fourth Amendment and other immunity and stuff like that, I just don't think they make a good security officer. Now, again, every situation is different, and I'm not telling you don't do it, and I'm not telling you absolutely should do it. Just some things to think about. Now, I'm definitely not saying if you got a side job, a part-time detail, whatever, and that's helping you pay the bills, I'm not trying to run you off of that, man. I'm just saying, look at the reality of it. In my opinion, and I know everywhere's different, the details that are attached to your department are going to be a much safer option for you. I'll just leave you with some thoughts on the security company side of it and let you decide for yourself. The two questions I'd definitely ask if I was going to go work for a private security company is, what do they expect of me? Do they expect more from me as a police officer than they do from a civilian security officer? And are they going to pay me more for that expectation, and what's reasonable? At the very least, you should be looking at, time and a half your regular pay before you even consider a side job, because you could make that money just working an extra shift at your regular job where you have all the protections and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. The other question would be, how are they going to compensate you for all the extra stuff that your regular job does, like court time? Or what if you get injured? Are they going to cover your medical bills? Do they have workers' comp? What if you get injured on your part-time job and now you can't work your full-time job? Is your full-time job going to recognize that as a workers' comp thing, or are you just going to be out of luck? So lots of things to consider, guys. As always, work, train, repeat. Stay safe.